Now, if Big Pharma could come up with a pill that provided the benefits of exercise, they would save more lives than they are doing now, and they would make more money than they've ever made in their entire existence. But has it been possible? No, it hasn't. And that is why we have to exercise. Have you ever heard of Charles M. Schulz? He says exercise is such a dirty word that every time he hears it, he washes his mouth out with chocolate. And I thought that was hilarious. I thought I would add that in. Now, I look at street life. Street life to me is all about concrete jungles. When you look at the cities, you see these massive buildings, you see tar roads. Do you ever see trees? Barely. Occasionally you'll see a tree here or there in the middle of the street, and it's only that high, and it's really sad being in a city, living in a city. I also then think about McDonald's and fast foods, televisions, big buses. I mean, that's obviously in like a big double London bus. We're not quite at that stage here in Perth yet. However, I do think of that. And then I think about towers. And I think, how do they, and where do they, and how can they exercise in fresh air? How can they exercise, if they are in the middle of the city? Some people are fortunate because very close to Perth, we've got the river. We've also got, what's the other little river down? There's another little river where people go and walk around, and they're not allowed in the water, but Lake Munga. I remember we used to go with the school children when I was a school teacher. I was a language teacher. I was teaching Italian and French. So that was fun. We'd take the kids down to Lake Munga, and the kids would ride around, and fun. To me, that's what I think a garden should be. Now, I'm not talking about the muscles. I'm talking about, this is what living should be in a garden. And I always say to people that I don't Bible bash in my training. As you all know, you've been listening to me for weeks now. But what I do say is, we are created. And I believe if we created, we have a creator. And the beginning, he gave us the Garden of Eden. And he put man there to work. And if he put man there to work, that means that's a great form of exercise. So exercise, we need opportunities to get out into the fresh air and the sunshine, not only hitting the gyms, which is what I was accustomed to in my past life, as I call it. But gardening is one of the best forms of exercise. Raking, I don't know if any of you have ever raked a big yard. That raises your heart rate. It gets your muscles going because you are working out, and your legs are working, and there's a lot of movement there. And we're going to be talking a bit about legs being your most important part of your bodies. Amazing fact. Now, this statistic I got when I was studying in the US in 2011. So I would actually more than double these numbers. I would say as many as maybe even over 700,000 deaths per year, maybe even more, in the US, Australia, and everywhere else are attributable to lack of regular exercise. Now, I studied in the US, so I always used, in the past, you can see I've been a bit slack and haven't updated some of my slides. But let's take a look at the hazards of inactivity. It increases the risk of coronary artery disease, diabetes 2, osteoporosis, cancer of the colon, prostate, and then we also see testicles, organs, breasts are all affected through inactivity, and that's due to the lack of the blood circulation. Anxiety and depression. The first thing I do when I meet people who are depressed is I suggest exercise. It's amazing how depressed people move so quickly out of depression when we get them onto a regular health program, which includes exercise. Of course, nutrition is paramount, water, etc. And that's why we're talking about this important acronym over these 7 weeks that we started a few weeks ago. Inactivity is as detrimental as smoking or having high cholesterol levels. I mean, look at this picture. We're not seeing an older person. We're seeing a young male who looks like, to me, he's in his 20s. And look at what he's looking like. I see someone there who is extremely depressed. And if he's not extremely depressed, then he's extremely tired and lethargic. So we've got those options. And you wonder why young people would be in these conditions. But believe me, young people are far more inactive than older people, because for the most part, when you hit your mid-40s, 50s, you already know your health has somewhat declined, so you start doing everything to fix it up. Have you ever heard the saying, people work the first half of their lives to earn lots of money, and then the second half of their lives, they use that money to gain health? Yes. And it is so true. And we need to change that. And that is why we need it in this life, in this era. We need people like Amelia, a young lady who's here training, who is doing nutrition. So your work is going to be so important, so vital. And I'm very excited that you're learning, and I'm very excited that you also are learning more truths than you would gain otherwise. So I will just put it like that. I think you and I know what I'm talking about. Let's look at more benefits of active lifestyle. Exercise is so important for physical as well as mental health. We talked about mental health when I spoke on attitude, so we're just briefing here. Exercise lowers the heart rate. It lowers your blood pressure, it controls your appetite, it burns unwanted fat, it increases circulation, oxygen intake, and it also improves muscle tone. Now, I'm going to talk about all of these things in a bit more detail as I'm going on. I'm just wanting to give a list so that you can see exactly side-by-side benefits. Let's look at benefits to circulation. Exercise programs actually work on your circulatory system, on your circulation. It lowers high blood pressure, improves on your own circulation as well, lowers cholesterol, and lowers your resting pulse. I'm sure you know that when you are exercising, your pulse rate, resting pulse, is going to be lower than if you are an inactive person. I know, Steve, your resting pulse? About 63. Now, if I checked people who are not exercising, your resting pulse might be around 85, some of you. And we're talking someone in their 60s. That's a great pulse. That's all to do with exercise and, of course, your diet, so on and so forth. Mental benefits. It improves your sense of well-being. I'm sure you know yourselves, when you exercise, how do you feel? Invigorated. I know after we go on our long walks, we do about 5Ks, a day. Walk in the morning. We have big hills. After that, I go, wow, I feel amazing. But a couple of the hills, I can't even talk. I just go because I cannot speak. No weights, I cannot. Up the hills, I would drop them, because going up our hills, they are that steep. They're really steep. We do 1, 2, 3 of those. We have 3 of those. And so our 5K walk takes us about 45 minutes and 3 hills. It increases energy efficiency and endurance, and you want to have your endurance increased, because when you are your endurance is increased, you can even go longer. But we suggest 5Ks a day to walk, which is good. And you'll see when we've got a a 3-day workshop coming up September. It's called a cleansing workshop, the first week, I believe, of September, and we are going to teach you everything firsthand. You're going to live how we live for 3 days, which is enough. And we've already got bookings. If anyone wants to come, we'll talk about it over the time. It lifts depression. You know, when you're feeling down and you go for a walk, or automatically you just go, wow, you know, how can I feel what I'm feeling? I mean, look around me. You have the nature, you have, you know, the trees, the grass. We see the kangaroos run in front of us because we live in the bush. You know, it's just incredible. And then the neighbors have sheep or, you know, horses or whatever. It's stunning. It's so definitely, it lifts depression, it reduces stress, and it improves quality of sleep. And again, I should have written there, it helps, but this is mental, sorry. We'll come back to that. We're talking mental here. Again, exercise deals with weight control. And as we get older, our bodies tend to, we go, oh, I've got a roll here, I've got a roll there, I've got a bulge here. Don't we women do that all the time? Even if we're not that big, we always say, oh, I've got a bit of a bulge, even if we have flat tummies. But we tend to be very critical of ourselves. It actually is amazing for your immune system. When you exercise, it picks up your whole immune system, and your immune system is your firing ammunition. It is your cylinders that's going to keep your body healthy. I'm going to be talking at the end of our whole program about your immune system, especially for people who have been jabbed, because I've got a system to actually pick up your whole immune system. Some people say you never can once you are jabbed. I disagree. Yes, you can. It lowers insulin requirements, and we know that nobody wants to be on insulin on a daily basis. Sadly, those who are diabetic 1, they need the insulin on a daily basis. And then it strengthens the bones. I'm going to talk more about the bones in our older age, which is from 50 to 60 what happens. So we need our bones strengthened. Everybody talks osteoporosis. We've got something even worse than osteoporosis that is never discussed, ever. That was what I was doing this afternoon. I've been doing a lot of research, and every time I do research, I upgrade and I go, oh, that's got to go in. So let's talk a little bit about exercise, what kind of exercise and what is good for each one of us. And looking at how many calories burned in 30 minutes. Now, if you want to burn lots of calories, because anyone in here is overweight. Everybody in here is very slim. So you don't have the calorie burning problem in here. But if you know people who want to burn calories, there's a list of the calories, you know, count. Swimming 114, and that's in 30 minutes. And I always suggest keep your heart rate up 30 minutes minimum. So you need 5 minutes aside, 5 minutes to get your heart rate up, and then keep it and maintain that level. Now, it's different for everyone because it actually is age usually that gives you what should your heart rate be. So for someone my age, actually our age, Tina, I could say, we only have to walk at, I think we're about the same age. I think everyone else is so much older than us. I think for us, our level would be, we only need our heart rate up 30 minutes at about 75, the graph would go. Amelia, you would need to be far higher. But because we already walk every day, we are a bit stronger, so our heart rate goes up. And I didn't do the graphs. I didn't think it's necessary. All I just say to people is 30 minutes, keep your heart rate up, whatever that means for you. You'll know because you're feeling, you know, like, oh, I'm puffed. I can't really talk and walk. Now, when I say be careful with yourselves, if you're not used to exercising, if you haven't exercised a lot, start slowly. And I have somebody here in Sweden who has been amazing. And Astrid, you know, we finished working on your interview last night. That's going to be up on YouTube in the next couple of days. Now, she actually is in Sweden. She met me and found me on Facebook and hadn't walked for a long time. She was very ill. You'll hear her testimony, but I just want to throw it in here because she actually now can ride a bicycle. She's been walking. She couldn't walk. Her back, her hips, she's been flat for how many, how long? How long were you not able to walk for, Astrid? Okay, so I didn't quite hear that because I think you're on mute, but anyway, you'll watch her wonderful testimonial. And she's walking, she's standing up and playing violin, and I mean, this is the full ANEWSTART program she's done, and it took her, I think, under 2 months to go from not walking to walking. She heard me speak about exercise and she said, how am I going to get healthy? I can't even walk. And so she was determined to get healthy. She was determined to walk. So she started doing everything I told her. She followed the program, I mean, like thoroughly. And we have someone else here who's also followed the program thoroughly and done incredibly well. So you'll hear her testimonial, it's coming out. But just exercise is so amazing at what you can do with your body. And she was walking and now she's biking. So just phenomenal. And you'll see in her testimonial, she's older than us. She'll put us to shame. So the moderate exercise guidelines, exercise most every day. We really want to keep our fitness level up. We should total, as I said, 30 minutes daily. Now, I actually believe we should total more. As you heard, we walk 45 minutes to an hour exercise with other things we do. But starting 30 minutes is a great starting point. Build your program up. And then you can accumulate throughout the day. You know, sometimes you might say, today I cannot do an hour, but I can go for a quick 10-minute walk, and then when you're at work, you have a lunch break, you can quickly go for another 10-minute walk, then you can, you know what I mean? You can accumulate that time through the day. So exercise study, and this was done between age 20 to 82 years of age. Exercise cuts the number of deaths from all causes in half. Have you heard about the blue zones? Now, the blue zones, they exercise. The blue zones follow the ANEWSTART program, and they all exercise. And when you look at the lifespan in Japan, in the blue zone, 105. And then you look at Loma Linda. Loma Linda in America is an amazing state, and they live to about 103. Not one of them had COVID in Loma Linda. Now, Loma Linda is actually mainly Seventh Adventist people live there. And it's a state that's where the health message really went full out blossoming. It's a suburb of Los Angeles, but it's incredible what they've done there and the lifespan. They've got a university there that's... They don't get sick, but the blue zones don't get sick. And there's little places that aren't talked about, like in Chile, in South America, and also in, where's our friend? No, there's another one. What's Maurice's wife? Ecuador. There's places up in those hills. We have friends. When my kids were little, I wanted to move to Ecuador, and sometimes I regret that I never. Sorry, it's nothing against you, but you know, I just always think about, they've got incredible water that comes to the mountains, and they have nothing, and they found that water there's giving longevity. They were looking at the women in Peru and they were saying, why is your skin and your hair so amazing? And then some Christian people went and checked them out, and they followed them and walked with them and lived with them, and they were like, wow, we found the secret. They go up to the mountains and they collect their water in bottles. Hello, water.
That's one of the things, isn't it? It was a regular exercise, and each of those blue zones found that they, throughout the day, they have active, not sedentary lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So it's not just that 50 minutes of exercise.
You have to do exactly. Now look at this. I'm talking about in Peru, the mountains and the water. So they had to first walk to get up there, to get their water in the first place. There's your exercise right there. So they were getting their exercise and they were getting good source of water as well. So exercise cuts the number of deaths from all causes in half. And as you can see here, the death rate per 10,000, people who are fit, 40. People who are unfit, 122. I mean, that is how many times? 4 fours are 16. So almost 3.5 times more. Yeah, 68 unfit and then became fit. There's an increase of what? 20%? That's amazing to me. Yeah, walk. Don't go and jump into a car. If you can walk to a little shop to buy some food, make sure you can get a little walk in. Look at these gentlemen. They're going to walk to, no, not to the car park. They're walking home. I'm making my own story. These days people are on their little scooters. That's true. Don't get the elevator. Walk up the stairs if you can. I do that quite often. I love to climb stairs and I go, okay, I'll go. I've got 2 very lazy daughters. They go, oh, come on, Mum. And I say, come on, come with me. Come, let's walk. And they're like, no, see you later. They won't do it. So all forms of exercise is great if you can do it all. I do not like swimming for 2 reasons. If you go to the swimming pool, you're going to get all of that into your kidneys, right? Number 1. Chlorine, what about everything else in the water? What about the snoggles and stuff? And no, thank you, not for me. And then you go and swim in the ocean. You go to the ocean, it's beautiful, it's freezing cold, but if you can go and find a nice quiet spot and don't go where there's sharks, you're okay. So, and also another form of exercise is stand-up paddling. Now that's our exercise. We have our stand-up paddle boards, we walk in the morning at home, but we love going stand-up paddling. That's why we chose to live 1.5 hours from the ocean. Because so we have to drive. Yeah, exactly. So we take drives and do that. Gardening is the best form of exercise. I started off by saying we were made and put into gardens. We were never made to live in concrete jungles. We were made to live in nature. And this is the life. You're going to see me very soon carrying all the big amounts of herbs from my garden. I will not be buying herbs anymore. I will be planting everything. I used to, but then we stopped everything because we knew we were selling. So now we sold and we're moving. Regular exercise, what's in it for me? Well, mentally, it will help you with your emotional balance. It improves the mood by increasing your serotonin levels in your brain. And that's why you heard me in nutrition talk about having your serotonin every morning. Do you all remember what your serotonin was? I'm not going to ask you questions, but you all remember? Your 3...
Was it from the sunlight?
Serotonin? Yeah. You get serotonin mainly from your food. Dopamine more is the sun. Serotonin comes more from your food source. So serotonin was the 3 seeds that I gave you. Linseed is actually your probiotic. Your 3 seeds for your serotonin, and it's your omega-3. Your 3 seeds for your serotonin is your sesame, your sunflower, and your pepito seeds. Well done, yeah. So there you go. It improves the mood, increases your serotonin levels in your brain. Exercise does that. Can you imagine if you were eating an optimum diet, if you were exercising, having your water, and following through on all these truths you're learning, how amazing you would feel every day. It's as good as medicine to reduce or prevent depression, and it reduces substance abuse like ADHD. ADHD and ADD is not talked about enough. I'm going to run a program on ADHD and ADD for mothers because I feel there's a massive need for that. And I see young men like the gentleman today, and it just breaks my heart because ADHD can be remedied with nutrition. That's it. Remedy with nutrition and exercise. But packaged cereals is one of the biggest hits of ADD and ADHD. The biggest is packaged cereal, because ADD, ADHD, when I teach you that, you're going to go, wow, the penny's going to drop. All it is alcohol in the gut. Packaged cereals, within 20 minutes, kids are drunk. That's all it is. And they get given this every day. The parents don't know. The children don't understand what they're feeling. All they know is they're feeling something. It's intoxication. You have 2 glasses of wine. You give your child packaged cereal for breakfast. What you feel with your wine is what they're feeling after the cereal. They just don't know how to describe it. But they go crazy. And then the school says, your kid has been la 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 and jumping and not sitting, and your kid has ADHD. And then the parents are getting them on medications for ADHD. I know a kid who went to school with my children. I was his teacher. And his whole school life, he was on dexamphetamines. And he used to give the other kids Dexies in primary school. And do you know what happened to him? He became chronically schizo, like you would not believe. He was that chronic. He had to paint his whole bedroom black. He couldn't even go to the toilet. He made feces and urinate in his bedroom. He was locked in. Christian family. Dexamphetamines, ADHD. All they had to do was give him good nutrition. The mother didn't know back then. Her son and my son, same age, I didn't know either. I could have helped, but I didn't know. Everything I've been learning in the past years has been phenomenal, but that poor boy has ended up, he's 34, my oldest boy is 34, he's still living in a black bedroom. And I've offered to help, but they're saying he won't, he'll talk to you through the crack of the door. He's too scared to open that door. Can you imagine? His life is dark, you know. We have to do this job. It's our job to get out and get people into this kind of training. You know, this is what people are needing. Exercise stimulates the brain's natural feel good, and that's why I say it's serotonin. Exercise helps to boost the serotonin, the chemicals which soothe and calm the body. Physical exercise will improve diabetes. So people who are diabetic, without a doubt, should always exercise. It actually stabilizes the blood sugars. And when you come to our property, you'll see after every meal, you have to walk for 15 minutes, stabilizing the blood sugars. And these are the things that help. Physical activity and low body fat allow the body to absorb glucose efficiently and therefore reduce both blood glucose concentration and the amount of insulin released to control blood sugar. Since 1981, the diagnosis of diabetes has risen 300%. And by the way, this is a worldwide phenomenon. In America, when we were still there, the highest death rate was heart attacks. Same around the world, most places. It's different everywhere. Like India is always colon cancers and stomach cancers. That's from the high intake of curries. And now we've seen diabetes is taking over. Everybody I speak to, just about, that are sick, diabetes. They've got cancer, diabetes. They've got this plus diabetes. They've got this plus diabetes. Look at the world we're living in and the sugar intake. Everything is sugar, and if it's not sugar, it's high carbohydrate diets without burning and without getting those sugars stabilized. That's why diabetics especially need to walk after every meal. So if you have friends who are diabetic, please share this information with them. Bones. Just as exercise helps to build and maintain muscles, it also stimulates bone building. Now I'm going to talk to you at the end about bone building, and there's a very specific reason why. As I said, it's worse than osteoporosis. So don't go before the end. There's more coming. It stimulates the bone building, making your bones resistant to releasing calcium. So did you hear that? Exercise helps to build and maintain muscles, and it also stimulates bone building, making your bones resistant to releasing calcium, because your bones will release calcium if your bones are not stimulated. And there's one food that is really good for your bones. Can anybody tell me? Yes, Tina, good for you.
It looks like bones.
Exactly. Tina, did you see my program on all the vegetables resembling? You did? You've seen it, okay. God's Pharmacy, I call it. It's all the fruit and vegetables that resemble your body parts. Yes. So when you see the celery, it looks exactly like a bone. It even has the cartilage at the end. Now, your bones have how much calcium in it? You need sodium. Tina, how much sodium is in your bones? Anyone?
20%?
33. You were winging it there. 33% in your bones. And how much sodium is in celery? 33%. That's why I call it God's Pharmacy. He's amazing how he did it.
Take it as a juice? Or?
No, definitely not juicing. We cook it. It's a vegetable, cook it. No, because you want the enzymes to be broken down. Every vegetable, the enzymes must break down, otherwise your body has to break it down. And when you are our ages, you might still be okay to eat some raw stuff, but we don't want to, force our bodies to still try and break down. Why no juicing? Because number one, the enzymes aren't broken down, it's not cooked. Number two, we just do not juice because juicing does several things. It's a huge topic. I will talk about it at the end of our program. Juicing is a lot of liquid going into your gut. It's removing good gut bacteria, it's flushing good gut bacteria. That's a lot of liquid food. We talked about it the last time. You missed that session. So do you mind if I send you the link so I can stick with this? Yeah? But it's incredible when you actually see what too much liquid food does to the gut. And I will send you that link. And there's more. Yeah, I think you would find that helpful. Cardiocerebral vascular disease. If you do not exercise, you could possibly end up with this. Exercise boosts HDL, LDL. The very first presentation I did you watch it on YouTube?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I suggest you go to the YouTube. I'll show it to you after. The first presentation I did, which was the introduction to ANEWSTART. I talked about all the oils. In fact, in nutrition, I should have done the same. I should have talked about the cholesterol levels. Yeah, well, I talked about HDL and LDL there. And this in turn will lower blood pressure. So exercise decreases the formation of blood cells, as blood clots, as well. And people who have had the jab are prone to clotting. So if they start to exercise, it's going to decrease that information of blood clotting, thereby reducing their risks of heart attacks and stroke. We've all heard that many people who've had the jab have had heart attacks. What was the reason? The clotting of the arteries, the blood being clotted. You don't want your blood clotting anymore. You want that to change, right? Yes, yeah. So young girls are finding they're clotting a lot, they're living sedentary lifestyles. In fact, we have young girls as early as 13 with full-blown menopause. Full-blown. And that's from fast food. Yeah. They live sedentary lifestyles, they have fast food, they don't drink water, they live on sodas, Coca-Colas and all that rubbish. And sadly, yeah. And also, digestive problems. Digestive problems is going to cause a lot of issues, whereas if you exercise, it's going to help any digestive issues as well. It's going to help certain cancers, like colon and breast, and it's going to also oxygenate your cells. We call it clean blood. Have you ever heard the saying, life is in the blood? Yeah. Well, exercise causes your blood to circulate properly, to circulate the way it is made to circulate, and hence you have the oxygen passing through your blood cells. And so exercise is of paramount necessity.
Is that the antioxidant then that we need every day?
Well, antioxidant is part of your foods, right? And I believe you cannot get antioxidants from exercise, no. Antioxidants has to come from your food source. Every mineral, every antioxidant, every flavonoid, all the goodness you need must come from food. Your sodium, your sugars. Your body needs a certain amount of sugar, but it doesn't need a donut, it needs fruit. Yeah? So we got to just monitor what we're eating. Also, exercise will strengthen your muscles and help people with backache. Now, I'm not sure how long I'm going. Do you want a break or can I keep going? Because then I can finish exercise. We'll have a break and then we'll come to water. Is that okay? Wonderful. Okay, that's my check-in place. So what kind of exercise and how much? We've already talked about that, but I'm going to now talk about aerobic versus anaerobic. So we have aerobic exercise. Now, aerobic is keeping your heart rate up. That's aerobic. That's when you go to the gym and you dance and you do aerobics, or you ride your bicycle, you get very puffed out, or you dance. Now, when I had my first 3 children, I used to put them to bed at 6 p.m. in Switzerland because the sun sets early. They were in bed by 6 o'clock. And then I used to go close all the doors. I'd go into my lounge, I'd have my mirror, I'd put my music, and I would dance for 1.5 hours. That was amazing. That kept me super fit, and I loved it. So, I didn't do it for that purpose. I never used to go out at all. I used to have 3 children. I had 3 children.
It helped keep your sanity with the 3 kids.
That helped me keep my sanity. Oh boy, it certainly did. It really helped me keep my sanity. My dance was it. You know, involves rhythmic motion of large muscle groups. This is aerobic. And dance did that for me. It kept me really, really fit. Walking, jogging, swimming, roller skating, cycling, dancing is all forms of aerobic. Gardening should be in here, and I failed to put it in. Walking is great. You can walk very fast and get your heart rate up. It's probably the best all-round exercise and the safest, walking. And probably the cheapest, and so is gardening. But gardening gets expensive when you want to keep buying plants and things, doesn't it? Walking, you can put on your shoes, walk out your door, and you can start walking. Everything else you would either drive to or pay money for the gym or anything. You can dance in front of the mirror for free.
That's true. They know as well when I go upstairs. I'm not just going to dance.
Yeah. Stretchercise is wonderful. We love stretching, stretchercise. For those of you who are going to come on to the 3-day program at the property, you're going to do stretchercise every single morning before you do your walk even. We love stretchercise. It reduces the risk of injury and it also increases Flexibility. Who doesn't want to be flexible? Now, the lady at the bottom here is doing yoga. We don't do yoga. Yoga and stretch exercise are very different. Yoga is all about poses, whereas stretch exercise is more about stretching your muscles and ligaments without poses. Yeah? And there you can see there's many forms of exercise. Bike riding, there's a little fella with his footy there, walking your dog, swimming, snorkeling, walking on the beach, horse riding, and we'll just call the stretch exercise because I prefer that. Principles for becoming more active. I always say, please check with a health professional if you haven't started yet. If you're already exercising, somewhat fit, then you're okay. Tell them what you intend to do, and they know your body, they know you. That's your personal doctor or healthcare professional. And since you're all coming and listening to my programs, I would like you all to start exercising anyway. You don't have to go and see your doctor. You can ask me and I will help you. Absolutely, that's right. I'm very good on checking in on my patients. Am I not, Ingrid?
Yes, you are. Very attentive.
Daily. I check daily.
Yeah.
Every single day. I find out how they're going. If it's wounds, I say, send me photos every day. I look at it, I call them back and I say, that's great, or I message, wonderful progression, or I say, there's a little thing there, can you just tell me more about it, describe what's going on? So we talk through everything, which is wonderful. And this is wise at any stage, any age, if you are not fit. If you are fit, go for it. Essential if you already have a medical problem. So some people have heart problems, heart murmurs, and then they hear me talk, they leave here, the next day they are going to hit that road and say, she said I must walk. No, I said check with your doctor first, so that you make sure it's okay. Start slowly, not too hard, too fast. Try the talk test when you're going to do your walk. Walk and make sure you can still talk when you first start. And then as you progress, it can change. Vary your intensities. And the hardest part is getting out the door. Once you start, you will be perfectly fine. One key is to make the activity part of your normal life. Because anything you do that cannot be normal, like for an example, if you say, I'm going to choose abseiling. I mean, number one, it's expensive. Number two, you've got to always drive and there's always got to be wind. It cannot be a lifestyle program, as my husband, who's a windsurfer, can tell you. So keep it simple. Walking, gardening is great. A walking program should match your own personal fitness level. Time constraints, physical limitations of the individual walker, and their personal exercise goals. If you want some help with your goals, contact me. I'm very happy to work with you. You should always achieve your frequency and duration goals before you attempt intensity. So you're going to say, well, how far do I walk? Well, don't start off with 5 kilometers. Start off with 1. Just do 1 kilometer. Start off with even a half a kilometer if you have to. Just work out what that looks like. A half a kilometer could be from this corner, or from the road here to the corner, just up there. That's enough. And walk back. You've made a start. The next day, just go double that. And then the next day and the next day, until you go, wow, guess what? I've actually done 5 kilometers. That could be 6 months later. But that's okay. You've progressed to where you want to be, right? Your goal was, how far am I going to go? How fast are you going to go? When you first start doing your first 5 kilometer walk, it might take you an hour and a half. But then you're going to come down to about 45 minutes. How often? We love to do it every day. We've had COVID, as you know, so we hadn't walked at all. The two of us both were affected with nausea. We were so nauseous. We couldn't eat, we couldn't drink. I couldn't even put water to my mouth. Anytime I went to sip, I was sick. So with the result, we couldn't even take our wonderful protocols. I have a whole COVID protocol. We could not even take it because we were so sick, like literally sick. So we were just totally flat. So you cannot even exercise when you're in that condition. So that was really terrible. See, these two women are talking. The husband's looking all over for his remote. She said he needed more activity, so she hides it 3 times a week. And that way he gets angry and he goes out walking. I thought I'd lighten it up a little. A word of caution, certain medications such as beta blockers alter your heart rate. Very important for nutritionists to know. If you are treating, healing, working with people, you want to know if they're on beta blockers. And then you got to make sure they know it's going to alter their heart rate. And then send them first for a consult with their physician, and they can come and tell you what their physician said. Ask for a written report. If you're a nutritionist, you can work with certain doctors, I know. You can, just say, I don't know, you're working in wherever your area is, you can go and find doctors and say, I'm a nutritionist, I get patients, do you mind if I send them to you, and do you mind if I can get reports? And you want specific reports. Also, as a nutritionist, you want all your patients to get like vitamin D check, D3, not D, D3, it must be D3. They'll tell you they don't do it, but I've educated 2 doctor surgeries now who do it. I said, yes, you can. And they said, no, we can't, it's just vitamin D. And I've gone further to research what they have to do, and I've told them what they have to do, so they know now. You can educate them too.
What's the difference between D and D3? Like
D3 and D2 are very different. D2 is not harder, it's not as hard to get as D3. Everybody by nature, we all lack D3. You can only get vitamin D3 at a specific time of the year when the sun is at a specific place. And you don't always get it. So most people are lacking D3. If you have any type of dis-ease in your body, now dis-ease is D-I-S-ease, that leads to disease. You already know you have a lack of vitamin D3. So vitamin D3, these are the ones most people lack, is D3, magnesium, zinc. Those 3 are the major ones. And even with COVID, I made everybody bump those 3 up, big time. Yeah, absolutely. It goes without saying. So once you had your D3, I'm just letting people in. Once you've had your D3 for some time, you feel the difference. Magnesium, you feel the difference. I think I'm lacking magnesium.
Mention zinc, you need the copper to counteracts your...
You don't actually need... No, I wouldn't... Your diet is really important for you. Yeah. Some people, yeah, I don't really look too hard at the copper intake. I would look more at the iron. Yeah, especially women. Because young girls, when they're still menstruating, they lose a lot of iron, whereas men, it's not so severe. Men who are sexually active need to look for the zinc. That's what men lose, is the zinc. So women actually get the zinc from their partners. Yeah, so when you're sexually active, women get zinc and men lack in zinc. So you'll find married women, or I shouldn't say married women, these days anybody just thinks it's okay to be active, they're getting zinc. The men are the ones losing the zinc. So men are lower in zinc than women.
is there a transfer? How does that happen?
Sexually transmitted sperm. That's where all the zinc is. Sorry, I thought I was clear enough. Sorry, I should have been a bit clearer. So, yeah. I thought when I said when you're sexually active, you get the zinc. because the men give the zinc to the women. So there's only one way you can get it, right? So it's passed through the spermatozoids. And that's why women get the zinc, and women who are not sexually active are going to be lacking in zinc, and men who are very much active are going to be lacking in zinc too.
So can it be done through blood tests to see where the levels are?
I always send everybody for D3. Actually, you know what we'll do? At the end of this program, we'll start another program on what you need to find out from your doctors for your bodies to be healthy. There's 100 of programs I'd love to run. This is just number one.
And also how to read these blood test results, because a lot of the times they put it in red, but it's only a minor difference, and you're panicking like there is no tomorrow.
They normally put an indicator of where it should be. So sometimes on your blood test it will say normal 8, and then yours will show 5.3. So you go, oh, mine is low. Now, I don't believe in Google, but there's certain things Google's okay. Let's say your blood test comes in that your iron is 8 and it should be 14. Google, what if my iron levels are 8 and it should be 14, what's the risk? Just check on those kind of things. I don't mind Google for. Because when your iron levels are very low, for most young girls, they go, why am I tired all the time? That's the iron levels. Yeah. Magnesium, you keep saying, oh, I get so many aches and pains. I put them on magnesium and they go, wow, that helped. You're lacking magnesium. Or they'll say, now and again I feel like I'm getting a pain that I can feel right through my bones. Calcium. You know, your body's your best indicator. Your body's your doctor. So basically what I teach, medical missionary, I teach my students to be their own doctors. And that way they can go out and do my work. It takes many years to get to this level I'm at, because I've been doing this since I'm 20. And it's a long time. However, you can learn if you really apply yourself. You can learn. So when you finish your course, for an example, you may want to come and train to be a medical missionary, because what I teach in that training is really expanded on the human body, on what you might do some anatomy.
Yeah, it was very
basic.
Anatomy though.
Yeah, but I believe that we should all, from 4 years of age, we should learn anatomy. I have that belief that children of 4 should be in the anatomy class, because when children are in a home and their mothers watch a lot of Facebook posts on children crying, I don't want to eat that plate of food. Why? Because it's got chicken on it. And the mothers say, but you've been eating chicken since you're born. But I don't want to anymore, because I know that they kill the chickens. They're becoming more tuned in than adults. I have watched so many kids, their mothers film them crying because they will not eat chicken or fish or cow because they say you killed an animal.
I was one of those.
Well, there you go. You were one of them. And children are actually more astute than adults sometimes, because children, their vibe is what it is. Adults is, oh, I love my lifestyle, my this, my that. Kids are more in tune with nature. The Bible even actually says, become like a little child. And does it say, and then you will enter the kingdom of heaven or something like that? Yeah, become like a little child. Unless you become like a little child. So for me, little kids need to learn. And those little kids in those classes, when they start learning anatomy, will be very outspoken to their parents. You know, I shouldn't be eating sugar because I learned that when I eat sugar, it actually makes my liver really go bad. So why are you giving me sugar, mummy? I don't want the donut. Do you know our grandchildren come to us every school holiday? Do you know what our grandkids said? oh, Grandma, we know every time we come to you, we have to have vegan food. But, Grandma, you know what we noticed? When we're with you, we feel so good. They don't feel mucusy. They don't feel tired. They pumped. Because we feed them with good food. We take them out a lot. We take them swimming. We take them to the beach all the time. They're very lucky because sometimes we book a B&B right on the ocean. And then we have the B&B, the playground, and the ocean. And they love it, don't they? We've taken them 3 school holidays in a row to that B&B. But this next holiday, I think they'll be on our new property running after sheep. Exactly. Okay, we're coming to an end.
What is sarcopenia?
That is what nobody talks about. What is sarcopenia? Sarcopenia sounds like schizophrenia almost. Sarcopenia is the loss of skeletal muscle mass and strength as a result of aging. This is new cutting edge information, and when I started researching for my own little old body, I was going, how come I feel sometimes an ache here? Why do I feel an ache there? Why do I feel... And then I thought, I'm going to do as much research as I can, and I found some research that actually blew my mind. So we need to use our functional muscles because sarcopenia is a terrible disease.
Where does it come from?
You're going to hear now. To develop a habit of being able to stand and just not sitting. And don't lie down if you can sit. So if you have sick elderly people, get them to start moving. Get them to start sitting rather than laying down. After the age of 50 to 60, it is not possible to lose weight, especially if you do not exercise and rely on eating less to lose weight. Why? Because of sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is the loss of muscle mass, and muscle mass, once it goes, can never come back after this age.
So would you recommend more anaerobic exercises then?
We're coming. Oh no! Did I talk? Oh.
There was just aerobic on their line.
I forgot to. We're going to talk about the anaerobic then. Yeah. Okay. So
Is that the strength exercise?
that's the strength exercises. Yeah. I talked about it this afternoon, and that's why I thought, didn't I already talk about it? No, I must be coming to it. So all our muscles need tuning. So does running, cycling, climbing hurt your knees? When you're at that age, in your 50s to 60s, and you go, oh, my knees are really hurting, you must know what is setting in. It is time for you to start doing more anaerobic rather than aerobic exercises, but you need both. You need the aerobic for your heart, you need the anaerobic for your muscles and your bone density, the two things together. If you have never exercised before, it is not wise to just start an exercise program. I said that before. If you have enough muscle strength, you can slowly develop the habit of running, cycling, and climbing. However, this is a stage where if you don't have enough muscle strength, you need the anaerobic. Ask my husband, what did I say the other day when we move house? I want a designated gym setup.
What is anaerobic?
Anaerobic is weight.
Oh,
Anything with weight. So weight-bearing exercises. For an example...
That's what they recommend for osteoporosis.
Totally, because osteoporosis is the beginning of this. Osteoporosis comes first. It's not as bad as this. The problem with osteoporosis is every time you fall, you could break bones, because osteoporosis is everything to do with your bones, whereas sarcopenia is everything to do with muscle mass, which means you're almost jellified. So you need to really start the anaerobic. Now, I was explaining today, this afternoon, anaerobic exercises you can do with cans of beans. You don't have to go to the gym. But if you can afford it, go to Kmart and you can buy 1 kilo, 3 kilo, 5 kilo weights. Start with ones and just do biceps, do triceps, do hand raises. I talk about squats just now. Yeah, and then you've got, you want to work on your back, so you can do those. Now, I used to do the gym, so I can show people as well everything we need to do. Those who are coming again to our property, we'll have a gym set up, and I'll be able to show everybody all the exercises that they should be doing. And we also want to look at each person individually. Now, the thing with sarcopenia is I'm jumping ahead of myself. If an elderly person is sick and hospitalized, get them out of bed. Because what they do in hospitals is they put them into bed and they leave them there. In Africa, I was raised in Zimbabwe, they have programs where they've got nurses coming in and taking them out walking every day. And that should be done in every hospital, but they don't. Lying down for 1 week loses at least 5% of muscle mass. So we were lying in bed for a week and a half. We lost almost 5% of muscle mass, and I can feel it. I've been standing up today now, this morning and this afternoon and now, and I can tell you I'm hurting all through my back and my arms, loss of muscle mass. You will feel it. So we need to kickstart our weight training, and I've always believed more in the aerobic exercises. However, now as you get older, you start to see and realize that the anaerobic exercises are of vital importance as well. So just a few hand weights. And then for your legs, as I said I would talk about, I'm jumping ahead of myself, but that's okay. Squats. You should start doing 20 to 30 squats per day to start. 20 to 30 to start. And a squat, just take a chair. All you do is put your legs against your chair, right? Like that. I don't want to lose these guys. Put your legs against the chair, and then you just do that. When you feel that part touches the chair, then you stand up again. That's a proper squat. Down and then up. You're using a lot of leg muscles. Why is the leg muscles and your body weight?
The largest muscles?
The largest muscle is actually your hamstring. That's your largest muscle in your body, and that's the hardest to get to. When you start training, I know for me, I trained about 5 years before my hamstrings popped. You know, sports people have the hamstring. It took me 5 years to get hamstrings. Long time, and I was so frustrated. I used to look at the other girls and go, oh, they've got hamstrings, mine are flat. Those got calves, mine are small. You know, you're always looking at others. I worked hard to get everything in shape, and then I got old. No, my husband preferred me going paddling with him rather than going into the gym when we met. So muscle loss can never come back. So don't allow the elders to sit at home and not do any housework. This is for Tina. Your mother needs to help you do housework.
She does.
I'm sure she does.
Sits on washing dishes.
Your mum is, like I was saying earlier, she's so speedy and she does everything. She's a typical Italian mum. Has she? Okay. However, for her age, she's incredible. But we must not let her slow down too much more. Let her still get up and sweep and, you know, do things because we need this.
She wants to climb ladders.
Yeah.
Climb ladders.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I have to hide. What? She could fall, I reckon. Just go
No, what? Yeah. But she'd like to get up and do things, I bet. Yeah, my mum was like that. My poor mum had a glued together vertebrae. Her whole vertebrae was glued together because she'd broken it in so many places. And then when she and both her husband, he had cancer and she was looking after him. And then she was so frail, so we moved into their house. We left our home and everything for 5 months. We lived with them, and I was looking after them together. Steve was going home and checking on the dog and doing what we had to, and I looked after the two of them. And one night, she didn't want to wake me up. She was feeling sorry for me because I was up all day, all night. They were both sick. And he fell on her, and he cracked I was feeling so bad that I didn't hear. And this little woman was here. She reached me here, and she was tiny. She was like 49 kilos. She was small, frail, and he was big. And I just, when I got the ambulance in the morning, I just said, oh no. So he ended up in hospital. She ended up in hospital, and then he ended up in hospital. So we got them a double room in Midland, which was so cute. They were in one room together, but it was really sad, you know. And at one point, I was alone with him, looking after him, and you know, looking after old people. But he was always wanting to walk. He had his dog, but then the cancer set into all his bones, and he couldn't do anything. So we mustn't just move our hands when we, you know, out in the park. You see a lot of people doing this and this. Well, move your whole body, move your legs, move everything. This action, what do you call this? Knee raises, is actually brilliant for your heart. Excellent for your heart. So do knee raises, do, you know, stretch aside. We'll do it more and more as we're meeting. Movement is so important. Keep your body moving, and all your muscles of your whole body will be involved. Many elderly people even have difficulty swallowing due to a lack of exercise. So when you get to the stage where older people are saying, I'm finding it hard to swallow, things are closing in. Get them walking, get them moving, drinking water, because that's when things, you know what I'm talking, there we go. Lack of exercise. Yep. It's insufficient exercise, and in the end, they can't even cough up a mouthful of sputum, and they die because they're choking on their own. Sarcopenia is more terrifying than osteoporosis. Have you ever heard of sarcopenia? Oh, your friend's got it. Yeah. But if you didn't hear it from your friend who has it, you don't hear about it. People are not teaching this stuff. So I'm going to be getting more cutting edge stuff for our next training. So it's more terrifying than osteoporosis. With osteoporosis, you just need to be careful not to fall because of your bones. But sarcopenia not only affects the quality of life, but also causes high blood sugar due to insufficient muscle mass.
And I think it's painful too, isn't it?
Very painful. And you know, remember I said to you, I'm going to talk about something that's, I believe people with sarcopenia, it starts setting in a bit like osteoporosis. You lose your muscle mass, you start getting pains, and you just feel pains here, pains here, pains here, and you're wondering, why have I got this pain? Why have I got that pain? All in the meantime, the loss of your muscle mass is creating the sarcopenia, which is affecting your body, and then you end up unable to walk or do these major things. So anyway, we need to be really looking for a high quality of life with our exercise. Our lifestyle should add in this whole acronym ANEWSTART. Very important for us. And the fastest loss of sarcopenia is in the muscles of your legs. So we need to keep our legs going. That is why I suggest walking and gardening more than anything else, because you're going to use your legs more. Every time you go down and you're doing, you know what you're doing, it's all the leg movements. It's your legs and your hips. What do women do most of the time at the age of 60? They always go for what? Hip replacements. So you can see the evolving, of women from young teenagers to women where the hips are now going, and then they have knee replacements after that. That's because of sarcopenia. Why aren't doctors talking about this? The fastest loss of sarcopenia is in the muscle legs, and when a person sits or lies down, the legs are not moving and the muscle strength of the legs are affected. Hence, every time you're sick, every week you've been in bed, you've lost about 5%. So if you've been in bed 10 times in the year, for whatever, you were once depressed, you had the bad flu, you had COVID, vertigo, depression because your children have been so human to you. They've given you a mouthful, you get so sad, you just want to lay in bed, curl up and sleep for the rest of the week. So there you go. Squats 20 to 30 times a day is a great start so that you don't end up with sarcopenia. As our leg muscles weaken, it will take a long time to recover, even if we do rehabilitation and exercise later. As soon as you hear this, start it. If you don't move your legs for just 2 weeks, your real leg strength will decrease by 10 years.
And also you lose your balance.
Totally.
So you're more prone to fractures.
Exactly. I have a lot of sick people coming to me. You get people who are sick and say to them, I want you to stand like that, even with, they can't. They cannot do it. They fall over. Impossible. So I'm happy I can still do that. A lot of young people can't do it, especially on Friday night in Northbridge. Yes.
Check your balance.
Exactly. Well, I normally, when I'm checking people, I do the balance test, and then I also ask them to walk away from me and back to me. And you'll be amazed if you watch people walking. They think they're walking straight, but they don't walk straight. And then a lot of them, their bodies are like that. A lot of people are not straight, they've got curved spines. So, people also have one shorter leg than the other. And sometimes it's that big a difference that they don't even know it. But it's all of this got to be checked because we can lengthen the muscles and so on and so forth. A study from the University of Copenhagen in Denmark found that both old and young, during the 2 weeks of inactivity, the leg muscle strength was weakened by 1/3, which is equivalent to 20 to 30 years of aging. Now that is phenomenal. I believe that could be why we shrink as we age. So imagine if we kept our bone density and our muscle mass, we might be able to, retain some height. But I know it's gravity. As you get older, you don't walk like that anymore. You start going like that. Yeah. And I've been hunched from a little girl because I used to hide my breasts. I was very embarrassed. So I used to walk like that in school, and I used to even stand like that. And when I played basketball, I used to wear 3 bras, and I used to wear 3 t-shirts. It didn't hide a thing. But anyway, I was always a bit like that. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't changed much. I'm always making sure everything's in, and I've got always lots of layers. The largest and strongest joints and bones of the human body are also in the legs. We need to do steps, walk every day. So I'm looking forward to getting to the new little farmlet. So I'm going to use the 5-acre block that's empty, and I'm going to create a course where I can do some step-ups, low ones, and then I can walk, then I can run, and then I'm going to have little bars. What do you call those when you... hurdles. Then I can jump over.
On the properties they have those jumps for the horses.
That's right. Hurdles. I did hurdles when I was young, but I want to start like with 1 brick and then 2 bricks, and then because I'm starting from nowhere now. So I just want to build up my strength and have the little gym there, and I'm going to be doing that on the property every day, a circuit.
We can have a look at you, don't worry.
We'll
No, you're going to all be on the course when you come.
You're still young.
Yes. So strong, exactly. So strong bones, strong muscles, flexibility, joints form the iron triangle that carries the most important load, and that's your human body.